Hey, Federated family, just excited to be here today with Dr. Ronni Kurtz, one of our two kind of main speakers for this year's Bible conference coming up here in just a few short weeks. And Dr. Kurtz, just a privilege to have you for a few minutes to talk today, and just would love if you would start by introducing yourself to our church family and those that are going to be attending.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me start by just thanking you. It's I don't take it lightly, to have a chance to speak to people at the church, and just eager to be with you all, and have heard so many good things about you and the church, and yeah, eager to be with Dr. Brian Tabb as well, and it's gonna be fun. So I hope folks join us. Happy to talk about me. I am a professor at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. So my official title is Assistant Professor of Systematic Theology. And so I teach theology from the undergrad level all the way to the PhD level and kind of everywhere in between. And I jokingly tell people when I talk about my vocation, I feel like I have a little bit of a hybrid life. And what I mean by that is I really love academic theology. Obviously, I've given my life to it. I write books and articles and care about this stuff and can be quite nerdy from time to time and kind of live in books. And yet, I really care about God's people, and I care about everyday local church life. And I have planted a church myself and pastored for a number of years and have a deep love for pastoral ministry. And so my passion is kind of taking both of those worlds and bringing them together. How does our thought life about God impact our affection for God? And so that's really what I'm trying to instill in my students, and hopefully what I'll bring to the conference as well is this idea of academics or theology not just being some stale, cold endeavor, but being kind of a place where our affections for the Lord can be set on fire, and seeing our minds and our hearts a little closer together than we might have realized. So that's kind of what I do here at the seminary, and even what I hope to do with you all at the Bible conference.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you, Dr. Kurtz. I think just a couple of fun facts about you that are relevant to our church body. One, for those that were with us last year, Ronni now serves as the co-host for the Church podcast with Jared Wilson, kind of taking back the helm really from Ross Ferguson, right? And he was here, and both of them were a blessing to us last year, so we're thankful for that. But also, you spent some time at Cedarville, and we have a couple of kind of children of our body, Ethan and Elizabeth Quayle, who are both out there at Cedarville. Ethan's finishing up his senior year and actually had a class with you, and so that was pretty cool awesome to hear him just speak highly of you and the time that he got to spend with you as well. So that was super encouraging. But
yeah, it was a great 4 years, almost 4 years at Cedarville University, and I so enjoyed my time there, but also really glad to be back home here at Midwestern. Yeah.
Well, and again, we talked about this in previous discussions, but small world again. We had Dr. Smallwood here, from Cedarville last year with Jared, and so they shared the stage through the weekend, and it was really cool.
Wow.
So
that's awesome. I love to hear that.
But well, hey, as we think about this year's conference, our theme this year, right, is satisfied, biblical satisfaction. Christ for the longing soul. As you learned about that theme from us, why do you think that's important, and what draws you to be here for a theme like that in a Bible conference?
Yeah, I think that's such an extraordinary topic to be thinking about. I mean, anyone listening to this probably doesn't need to be convinced of what I'm about to say, but we live in a noisy, fast world. And I feel like we have, any given day, we have 1,000 voices calling for our attention. We have 1,000 lesser loves asking for our affection. And the world just feels unstable. It feels loud. It feels fast. And I think the notion of satisfaction is really underprivileged when we think of the normal, everyday Christian's imagination, like what they think about when they think about the Lord and His place for us in this world. And I think there is a stability to be had, a rootedness to be had when we think about the notion of being satisfied, right? Augustine, one of my favorite theologians, once said, our hearts are restless until they rest in you. And so that kind of satisfaction to be found in the Lord will make us something very countercultural right now. It will make us stable and not swaying to and fro. If we can be satisfied in the unchanging God and his unchanging word, even when the world is changing chaotically around us, if we're satisfied in who he is, what he's doing in the world, and who he's made us to be, we can be a stable and calm presence in a very unstable world, which I think is really worth spending time thinking about.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for that. As I think about that, I'm just excited that we can pause for a weekend, like you said, and really dwell on those concepts, right? In the midst of some of that business, and recognizing that I read this in a book on prayer here recently with somebody that God provides the opportunity not necessarily for less busy lives, but for less busy hearts, right? And this idea that that's what is provided to us in the midst of the things that he calls us to do every day. And so, as you think about that, and as you've given thought, interested to hear just what are you excited to talk about with us that weekend, and as you just get to spend time with our body.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks might know if they've kind of looked at the schedule, but myself and Dr. Brian Tabb, we each get to speak twice. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to not have to think of, if I have one bullet, I get two. So that's nice. I appreciate that. And when I think of the notion of satisfaction, there's so many areas you can go, but one of the ones that was most blatant to me is being satisfied in God himself. And so the first thing I want to talk about, or I might do it second, we'll see. We'll see how the schedule actually comes out. But the two topics I want to talk about is God himself and then the church. And these two might not have been very obvious at the beginning, but when I think about a satisfied life and what it would look like to live a rooted, stable life in a noisy world, satisfied in God, I think of these two pillars as quite important. God, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. How can we be satisfied in him? And so I want to talk about the doctrine of the Trinity. That might feel abstract for some Christians. They might, propositionally say, yeah, I believe in the Trinity, but never really have pressed into it or said, what? Not only do I think this doctrine is true, but why do I think this doctrine is beautiful? And so I want to talk about being satisfied in the Trinity as the end goal of all things. We know one day we will be satisfied and God will come back and we will be with him, and there will be no more sadness, and there will be no more injustice and no more pain and no more tears, and we'll be all unified together. And all of that is amazing. All of those gifts are amazing, but none of them are as amazing as the giver himself. And so if we really want to be satisfied, we need to be satisfied not just in the gifts that he gives, but we need to be satisfied in him. And so I want to talk about the Trinity as the ultimate goal of satisfaction, finding our satisfaction in him. And then I want to talk about maybe one that's less obvious is the church, being satisfied in one another. I have a really deep love for the local church. And today in our culture, it's really popular to kind of bemoan the church or even talk down about her. Like, yeah, I love Jesus, but I don't really like his followers. Like, I'll take him, but I'm leaving the church. And I just want to talk about why I think that's a pretty serious mistake in our world and in following Jesus and what he has to say for us in our word, in his word. I think finding satisfaction in one another, not in an idolatrous way, but finding satisfaction in the fact that he not only redeemed us, but he redeemed us by uniting us to himself along with every other person he's redeemed. So that our redemption is a redemption into the vine, which we're all grafted into as the branches. And so I actually think there's a deep satisfaction in the fact that he has not only made himself the direction we're going, but he has given us one another for that pilgrimage. And thinking about what it means to be satisfied in the church as we march arm in arm towards the promised land, making sure that every single one of us crosses the Jordan, there's a lot of joy there for me. And, I often talk about the church, the gift of the church being something like we have dozens of people that we get to see every Sunday. And when they hear the question of Cain and Abel, am I my brother's keeper? They will answer emphatically, yes.
Right.
I am. I am my brother's keeper. and I am their responsibility and they are my responsibility. And the way that the Lord has set that up is quite profound and quite beautiful. So I want to talk about the church as well, and what it means to be satisfied in the local church and in the universal church.
Yeah, no, it's special. Super exciting. It makes me all the more excited to have you up here with us here in just a few short weeks. I want to thank you again, Dr. Kurtz, for the time and for your commitment to be here with us at the end of February, and just reiterate to our church body that February 27th and 28th is the Bible conference. We look forward to a great night that Friday evening opening up, and then a full day on Saturday with some great breakout sessions. And so do sign up, check us out, and we look forward, Dr. Kurtz, to having you with us.
Thank you. Appreciate you and eager to meet so many people there.